can AJ get up after being hit like that?
Pro boxing fans here in Riyadh with Jeff Powell from the Daily Mail. First of all, Jeff, always good seeing you as per usual. How's things? How's life?
Yeah, good, thank you. I got in quite early because the flights were quite difficult. So it's a long haul here. But my wife's pleased if I don't take a drink for 10 days. She's happy.
I think Riyadh's booming right now. We see that the snooker's on, a few of the snooker players actually in this hotel. There's a big tech conference going on that's supposedly taking over Riyadh, and then there's this boxing fight. We're here for the boxing, so let's talk about it. Anthony Joshua, Francis Ngannou. Talk to me about this one. I'm asking the question, normally when AJ comes into a fight, physically he's a bigger specimen, he's a bigger athlete. This time around, it might be slightly different for him in Francis Ngannou being the bigger man. Do you feel that plays on anything? Do you feel that plays on AJ's mind or anything like that, or is it just normal for heavyweights?
Well, they're used to fighting big people, and that's okay. Mike Tyson was not that much taller than me, but it didn't stop him chopping the trees down left, right and centre. So it depends how you go about a fight, how you exploit another man's weaknesses. When you get to this height, anybody can knock anybody out and anybody can be knocked out. So it's just a question of who adapts best to it. But Ngannou is not only big, he is alleged to be, by these strange measurements that they give, of sort of hitting tin buckets or something. He's supposed to be the biggest puncher of all time. I doubt that, frankly, but the one he landed on Tyson Fury was quite interesting. But Tyson has a habit of getting up. Will AJ be fazed by fighting a really big man? I think probably not. He's fought enough big guys throughout his amateur and pro career that he psychologically should be able to cope with that. But the big question is how he'll fight the fight.
Let's talk about that fight then. Let's break down that fight. We saw what, like you said, Ngannou did against Fury. We've seen AJ be a lot more confident. This week I saw the videos from yesterday. Got a smile on his face. He came from a good win against Otto Wallin. How do you feel like this fight plays out?
It plays out according to how AJ boxes it. He does look relaxed, he does look confident. If he's really convinced that Ngannou is not a boxer and that the knockdown of Tyson was a freak, if the fact that Tyson then struggled to get out of that fight with the decision was because Tyson was unfit, be careful. There was a lot of signs in that fight that Ngannou had actually learned to box. He always claims that has always been the biggest aim of his career, to be a top heavyweight boxer. But of course, he made his way to UFC to get out of Africa, and he went into those combat sports first. But he's now fulfilling what he says is his dream. He's clearly applied himself to some of the arts and crafts of boxing. The longer he's been doing that, the more likely he is that he's acquired enough technique with the gloves on to cause more trouble. Fury might even have been lucky to be his first big boxing match. But he showed in that a sense of distance. He showed good movement. He shows also that he's got a fantastic chin. So it's interesting that AJ is convinced that he can knock him out. He's got to take Ngannou as a serious boxer and not be dragged into the mindset, well, I'm just fighting a UFC guy who can punch a bit.
In regards to what Francis Ngannou brings, can we still take much from him from what we saw against Tyson Fury? Is he still an enigma in the sport right now? How much can AJ take from that fight going into this fight, or does he just have to be the best AJ possible?
As I've just said, he's got to be careful because Ngannou looked then like he could box a bit, and he's had more time to be prepared to box a little bit more. He might find it more difficult to outskill him at boxing than he imagines. I think he's got to treat him very seriously and box the fight properly. How he decides to do that will depend how much of a statement he feels he's got to make. He's talking about making a statement bigger than Fury's, which wouldn't be that difficult, as Tyson himself admits. It was a pretty bad night at the office for him. He should just get on with fighting his normal fight.
Francis Ngannou's repeatedly talked about Anthony Joshua's chin. He said it in the DAZN face-off. He said it at the press conference as well that he wants to test that chin. With what we saw, and I've seen him fight in the MMA quite a bit, we know he's got a bang in his punch. If there is an opening, do you feel like that he can cause that trouble to AJ with the amount of power he carries?
If you get caught by this guy landing a huge shot perfectly on the button, then AJ is liable to go down as Fury was. The question will then be, is he as able to get up as Fury often does and as did repeatedly? I keep hearing, Tyson fought nobody except Vladimir Klitschko. At the time when Deontay Wilder was mowing everybody down left, right and centre, he fought him 3 times. And each time he was put down. Yes, he was a better boxer than Wilder, but no, to say he wasn't in danger would be wrong. One count might have been a bit long, but not overly so. But he kept getting up, and on one point he does say, from one of those knockdowns, he wasn't even aware he got up. He was semi-conscious. Can AJ get up after being hit like that? Yes, he got up after being hit by Klitschko, but that was the first time he'd really been nailed in the professional ring. And he got up by instinct. Subsequently, with Andy Ruiz, it was more problematic. Bob Arum let Ruiz go because he didn't think Ruiz had the power to trouble the top heavyweights. And then suddenly he's knocking out Anthony Joshua. Well, at least knocking him down a couple of times, from which AJ didn't really look like he wanted to carry on. So there's tests awaiting him if he does get nailed.
Cool. I do want to talk about other heavyweight stuff quickly before I do let you go. News broke out yesterday, Dillian Whyte's been cleared of any adverse findings. It is found that it was a contaminated supplement, which puts him back into fighting. What do you make of the whole situation and how it's all been dealt with? And, is Dillian going to be back in the mix with his top boys?
Well, it's not the first time that Derek's been caught up in drugs controversy. Dillian's been caught up in drugs controversies. You can't keep doing that. You can't keep losing months of your career while you try and apply a scientific result that comes out in your favour. He's lost part of his career for it. He lost a very big fight with AJ for it. It's he really needs to be very careful about what he's ingesting. Apparently the box wasn't properly labelled. It seems to me it's taken a very long time to get to that decision. It seems to me that they found a technicality for him to be let off on, but then if the technicality is correct, then that's right. But I don't think any longer that Dillian is going to trouble the top heavyweights in the world.
Okay. So do you want to talk about 2 other things before I let you go? Sure. Things happening in the States. Yeah. First of all, rumours breaking out online that Canelo's possibly doing a U-turn from Eddie Hearn, which we're hearing was going to be the plan. Eddie Hearn was going to get him back on board, and there's going to be a possible Munguia fight. Now the news are breaking out is that it's possibly going to happen on Amazon with PBC. Is there anything that you can tell? Have you looked into it? If you haven't, then what do you make of these rumours are surfacing right now?
Well, Amazon Prime are determined to make a big splash in all sports. They're getting into the football and everything else. And this is a way for them to express themselves in America. And I'm less surprised by that than people might have been. DAZN were confident, it seemed, that Canelo would come back to them, because he was leaving his other promoter. But when people leave other promoters, they survey the field and find the biggest offer. And perhaps Amazon are prepared to overspend big to get into that niche of sport. So I'm unsurprised, but I have no inside knowledge of it.
Final one for myself. Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney had the 2 press conferences which were entertaining. First part of my question is there's a lot of concern over Ryan Garcia's social media posts, and like the second press conference, there was bits where people are picking up that he wasn't acting himself. What do you make of this situation? My question is, if there is an issue there with his mental state, does this fight need to be pulled?
I believe there's not. The camp have come out today saying that he's quite relaxed because he's been reassured that this throat-cutting threat and apparently seen shot in his house was actually fake. So he's now, as according to them, unperturbed by that. I think if anybody has seen that kind of a video and it was real, you'd be worried, and so I wouldn't be surprised if he was concerned. He is a showman, which makes him occasionally a bit of a diva, and has a temperament for show business rather than for boxing, at least in part of him. But he is a very dangerous fighter, he's a concussive puncher. We haven't seen that from Haney. I think Haney's, again, another one who might be in a bigger fight than he imagines. And if they're letting Haney believe that Ryan's not in a good state to fight, that might be part of a game as well. The fight will happen, I'm absolutely sure, and I'm sure Garcia has a great chance of knocking him out.
Jeff, always a pleasure picking your brain, getting the insides of boxing. It's hopefully going to be a good week. We're just starting off the media week ourselves. No doubt I'll speak to you after the fight and see your thoughts on what you thought about the fight. But thank you very much for giving us your time, Jeff Powell. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.